Welcome back to Nightly Nonsense, where we make some sense out of the nonsense. Hey, last night, I'm sure that, it'll get the attention of people as it goes up. The title, Who's Your Daddy, right? Look, that's not, it's not original, obviously. We stole that. But super, super, super relevant to your home. Right? We're talking about this whole thing of fatherhood, right? We're talking about the fact that it's super easy for us to point out all the problems with fathers, how bad fathers are, all of these things. Good fatherhood starts with who's your daddy? That answering that question. If God is not the answer to that question, then you're going to have problems, right? Because most of us, if we haven't put our self in there, we're going to put somebody else, something else in there, and it's going to get all goofed up, right? Because it's an inconsistent variable. God is a consistent variable, always the same. X, always going to be 1, right? Always, 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 always. But when X starts becoming 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, it can be all kinds of different things. That's a problem, right? When it's a direct variable, right? Always related to God. God is my daddy. He is who I am submissive to. Then the rest of it's going to fall into place. But in the home, if you got a father who wants to be submissive to God, right? Wants to be a good father, but you have children who aren't submissive and you have a wife who isn't submissive, you're going to have problems. So let me stop you right there and say, well, if you're complaining about your father, right? Could part of the problem be one of the other two variables? Is it inconsistent? Do you have a father who might be pleading every day with God, help me be a better father? But you have a mother and children who aren't praying the same thing. Totally unfair for a mother to sit and evaluate, judge a father while they're not being submissive to God as well. You got to be playing your role, right? So before we look at fathers and declare how terrible and awful and rotten they are and how our families are all falling apart because of the lack of father roles in there, you might want to look at the other two variables as well. No excuses doesn't make anything right. Nobody gets an excuse, right? I have to be a good father regardless. You have to be good father, mother regardless. You have to be a good child regardless. It doesn't matter what they do, right? Your part of the equation needs to be solid. It needs to be true. It needs to be righteous. You need to be dedicated to God regardless of the other two parts of the equation. Again, you're never going to have, right? You can be the best child possible, but if you have a mother and a father who are not submissive to God, it's not going to work all the time. There are times where they might get it right, but you're going to expect problems. You got to have all three parts. So when we're just constantly focusing on bad father, bad father, bad father, bad father, we're never going to get it right no matter what we do. Right? We're just going to keep complaining and complaining because no matter what we do, it's not working. I'm not saying that bad fatherhood is always a result because moms aren't doing what they're supposed to. It's always the other people's fault. No. I'm saying that it's three individual parts being submissive to God, answering the question, who's your daddy? Who are you submissive to? And then we're going to see good fathers. Again, not all the time and not perfectly, right? There are a lot of good fathers that have really bad moments. A whole bunch of them in the Bible. Whole bunch. Like Abraham, Moses, right? Jacob, right? Isaac, right? Just the list goes on and on and on. David. There's a lot of bad father moments. But bad father moments don't make you a bad father. Be careful that you're not labeling the whole because of a part. Right? It's funny, we have a bunch of wild apple trees all around us. If you look at the outside of a wild apple tree, right, you're not going to want to eat any of them. They have scabs on them and they've got wormholes on them. They got all this stuff. But some of the best apples that I've had have been apples that have scabs. I mean, they don't look like the ones in the store. They don't look perfect to the eye. But they are. And they're good. And they're delicious. right? They're the ones you want to make the pies out of. They're sweeter, right? Scabs make things look on the outside unpretty, but they can make the inside better. Right? What you've been through as a father, right? It may make the outside of you look, right, hard, rugged, scarred up. But the inside might be really, really good. And be careful that you're not looking on the outside of something, declaring it bad. Be careful that you're not looking on the outside of something and deciding bad fatherhood. This is a bad father because they had a bad moment. Nope. Actually, that scar, that scab, may make a better father, may make a stronger father, right? It's what we do in those moments that matters. And that's where, again, the encouragement comes. That's where the hey, keep going comes. That's where you're doing a good job. That's where you remembering as a kid, as a mom, hey, this is not the only father moment that this guy's had. Right? Don't let a lifetime of good fathering, right, be pulled down by a moment, right, of bad fatherhood. Right? Good fathering is a lifestyle. At the same time, be careful that you're not judging somebody to be a good father because they have one moment, one spotlight moment where they get it right. Right? Fatherhood is about a lifetime of fathering. Do you have a lifetime of fathering, or you just have sporadic moments of fatherhood? That matters. God's all about lifestyle choices. What are you living currently? How are you putting it all together? There's a lot of people that have really bad Christ-like moments. They just don't get it right. Peter had a bunch of those. But none of us would say that Peter wasn't a follower of Jesus Christ. He had a lifestyle of following Jesus. He just had moments, right, where Peter stood out more than Jesus in him stood out. So be careful. Be careful that you're not, right, discouraging somebody who's had a lifetime of fathering because you're seeing one moment of fatherhood. Put it all together, right? Put it all together. That's what God is going to do. Do you have a lifestyle of Christ-likeness, or do you just have moments where you can be Christ-like, right? We were talking about that down here this morning. You can be Christ-like and not be a Christ follower. You can have Christ-like moments. Jesus said that. There's going to be people who did a whole bunch of things in my name, and I'm going to say, get away, I didn't know you. I need you to really chew on that, right? You can look like Father of the Year for one moment, but not have a lifestyle of fathering. And you can look like you are way out there as a father, that you got it totally wrong, and you can have had a lifestyle of fathering. Look at the whole picture. God looks at the whole picture, right? Moments are important, but we need to look at and evaluate the whole picture. So you got a lot to chew on right there. I'll see you tomorrow night as we start to wrap up this whole section, right? Join us for Nightly Nonsense.